All right, hello everyone. Miss you guys a lot. Wish you guys were here in class. Doing these videos and teaching you guys over here is a little weird for me. I'm used to calling you guys out and saying a bunch of stuff while I'm in here in class. You guys make class so exciting and so fun, and so having to do these videos is a little weird for me. So I hope you guys know I miss you guys a lot. I can't wait for you all to be back here in class. But let's go ahead and jump into our lesson for today. We're going to be going over lesson 75. I know when you guys are usually here, I'll read through the lesson, and then I ask you guys to fill in the blanks as I go to make sure you're paying attention. So I want you to do the same thing. I'm not gonna stop at all, but I'm gonna read through it. But I want you to follow along in the lesson. I want you to make sure you're reading the lesson and understanding as we go along, and I'll explain a few things as we go. So let's jump right in. Lesson 75, page 364. We have compared fractions by sketching pictures of fractions and by writing fractions with common denominators. Another way to compare fractions is to convert fractions to decimal forms. Now, we've already done this in a couple previous lessons, but we're going to be doing it some more here. Example number 1. To compare these fractions, first convert each fraction to decimal form. And the fractions we're given are 3 over 5 and 5 over 8. And we're given the solution here, so follow along. We convert each fraction to a decimal number by dividing the numerator by the denominator. So here we see 3 over 5. The 5 becomes the divisor, the denominator becomes the divisor, and then the numerator, number 3, becomes the dividend. And you go ahead and divide, and you see that the answer is 0.6. And then the fraction 5/8, the denominator 8 becomes the divisor, and the numerator 5 becomes the dividend. And then you go ahead and see 0.625 is the quotient, and that's in decimal form. So that's how we convert from our fraction to our decimal. We will write both decimal numbers with the same number of decimal places and compare the decimal numbers. So here you see 0.06, the quotient from the first fraction, becomes 0.0600. Now those zeros are just holding the place value. The 6 is in the 10th, and then because there's no hundredth or thousandths place, we just plug in a 0. And then you have the next answer here, 0.625, and we see that that is greater than 0.600, and so you have your little alligator eating that one. All right, let's go on to our next one. Since 0.6 is less than 0.625, we know that 3/5 is less than 5/8, and so you see the solution written out there. 3/5 and 5/8. 5/8 is greater than 3/5. Okay, let's go on to example number 2. We're going to compare 3/4 and 0.7. First, we write the fraction as a decimal. So in this case, only one of them is in fraction form, so that's the one we have to change into decimal form to make that comparison. So we take 3/4, the 4, the denominator, becomes the divisor, and the 3, the numerator, becomes the dividend. Okay, so we put the 3 inside the division box and the 4 on the outside, and we go ahead and divide. And you see the final answer is 0.75. Then we compare the decimal numbers. 0.75 we see is greater than 0.70. And there you see the little alligator eating the 3/4 fractions, okay? So if you want to go ahead and do the fractions, I'm not going to do it on here because we need to keep rolling. I want to get into the problem sets. But you can go ahead and answer those on your separate sheet of paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scoot this over. And we're going to go ahead and start solving some of our problems. I'm going to do the odd numbers with you. So number 1, what is the product of 10 squared and 2 cubed? Now I wasn't here with you. You guys had a substitute 2 weeks ago, by the time you watch this, I think. Go over this with you. So I want to just real quick review. This is from lesson 72. Exponents are used to indicate repeated multiplication. The 2 in the following expression is an exponent, okay? And I'm reading from lesson 72, page 349. And you guys went over all of that. But right here, they're asking, what is the product of 10 squared and 10 cubed? We learned that 10 squared is 10 with the power of 2 and then 2 cubed would be 2 with the power of 3. Now, let's remember 2 is called the exponent, 3 is called the exponent, the number 10 is called the base, and the number 2 in here is called the base as well. So what is this product of 10 squared and 2 cubed? So they're asking, the operation they're asking for is, the final solution is going to be a product. So we know that we're looking for multiplication. Okay, it's a multiplication problem. So this 2 represents the 10 is being multiplied twice. So 10 times 10, which gives us 100. And then 2, it's not 2 times 3, it's 2 multiplied 3 times. So 2 times 2 times 2, which gives us 8. And so our final answer for this one is 800. Let's move on to number 3. It is said that each year of a dog's life is equivalent to 7 years of a human life. In that case, a dog that is 13 years old is the equivalent age of a human that is how many years old? Okay, so I've set up the information here. 13 years to every 7 year. Okay, this problem is going to be a multiplication problem. Okay, we set it up like a multiplication problem. 13 times 7, and if you haven't worked it out already, it is 91. 91 years. Okay, so we write that down. 91 years. Let's move on to number 5. This is a 2-part problem, fairly easy to solve. So what is the fraction, what fraction of the circle is shaded, okay? So the first thing we need to find is how many parts the whole is split up to. And we notice that it's split up into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and 3 of those parts are shaded. So that's the first part of the answer, 3/4. And then the second part of the answer, we see convert the answer to part A to a decimal number. Very simply, we take our whole part, make it our divisor, so the denominator becomes the divisor. Let's go over here. The denominator becomes the divisor, the numerator becomes the dividend, and we go ahead and divide. We know that that doesn't go into it evenly, okay? So we write 7, 28, bring down the 0, and we get our final answer, 0.75, okay? I was trying not to say okay at all in this lesson, and I did. Oh well. All right. Let's go on to number 7. Write 3.45 as a reduced mixed number. So what I did here is I converted my decimal into a fraction, okay? So you see 3.45, the 5 is in the hundredths place, so that's how I'm representing the denominator, okay? So I'm not gonna worry about this 3 for now. I'm going to focus on this. So a reduced fraction, we're seeing how many times 5 goes into each of these evenly. 5 goes into 45 9 times evenly, and then 5 goes into 120 times evenly. So my final answer is going to be 3 and 9 over 20. So make sure you write that down as your final answer. Circle that there. We'll move on to number 9. Instead of dividing 200 by 18, Sam found half of each number and then divided. Show Sam's division problem and then write the quotient as a mixed number. So I went ahead and set it up. We've got 100 divided by 9, and I went ahead and worked out the problem. 9 goes into 10 one time evenly. Then we subtract, that gives us 1, we bring down the 0. Then 9 goes into 10 one time evenly. We subtract, bring down the number. But very important, this number is going to be written, this remainder is going to be written as a fraction. So we're going to take 11 and 1, that's the remainder, over 9. Okay? So 11 and 1 over 9 will be your final answer. Alright, let's move on to number 11, okay? So we've got 4 over 5 and we're looking for the missing numerator. I think if I stand here. Okay? No, maybe if I stand here. I don't know if I'm out of the picture. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so we had to multiply 5 by what number to get 100? So if you haven't already figured it out, we had to multiply 5 times 20 to get 100. So we know whatever we did to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. And by doing that, we find the missing numerator. So 4 times 2 is 80. So our final answer, your final answer there is 80. 80 over 100. All right. The first 15, the first 15 problems are really, really easy, okay? Tomorrow we'll go over, on Monday, we'll go over the second half, which is not so easy, but it's okay. We'll get through it. We've got problem number 13 here. We've got 5 divided by 2 and 1/2. So the first thing I did is I converted my mixed number into an improper fraction, okay? And then I know I can't divide these two numbers together, so I had to change it into a multiplication problem. That's my first step. And then I had to get the reciprocal and multiply it by the reciprocal. So 5 over 2 becomes 2 over 5. And then I went ahead and multiplied. 5 times 2 is 10. Divided by 5 is 2. So the final answer to number 13 is 2. Make sure you show your work. If you need to pause the video and write that down, go ahead. All right, last but not least, we're looking for a missing a number here. 12 minus d equals 4.75. So what I did here is I set it up. 12 minus 4.75. Now, you see how I added zeros to hold the place value for 12? We've got a 0 in the tens place and a 0 in the hundreds place. And I went ahead and subtracted. Can't take 5 away from 0, so I had to borrow. Okay, then we subtract it, and there you got your final answer. Okay, hope you guys have done the rest of the odd numbers. The even numbers. The even numbers are the ones that are showing up on your quiz. If you have any questions, just go ahead and leave a comment on the video, and I'll help you out as quick as I can. All right, thank you.